Once the protagonist finishes reminiscing about the past, a rude man slaps him on the back, startling him out of his thoughts. "It's Lu Xingran, isn't it?" the man demands. "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and move the crystals." With a nod, the protagonist acknowledges. "That's right." Then, turning to Lu Xingran, he promises, "I'll try my best not to hold everyone back." Lu Xingran, with a calm expression, simply says, "Very well. Gear up and get ready to depart." As the group strides toward the abyssal gate, the protagonist's confidence shines through. This time, he declares, "Let's also work hard to earn money and then come back alive." Recalling the valuable items obtained in previous battles, the protagonist mentally lists them. The Golden Shield card, Dagger Specialization card, Berserker's Abilities card, and the coveted boss level ability, the card of the Man-Eating Flower's Super Regeneration. Continuing, he explains how his hexagonal skill allocation method allows him to transition into any class form without obvious weaknesses. Additionally, he boasts about his use of the hexagonal averaging method for attribute points, ensuring all of them exceed 100 points. After all, he concludes with a hint of pride, "I'm the one who licked every recyclable thing from the last abyss to the bone." Deep within the abyssal dungeon, our protagonist, Ye Qing, utilizes his unique skill, the Eye of Observation, to assess the attributes of the Job Changers team. With a keen eye, he scrutinizes the massive guy of the group, muttering to himself, "Your strength stat is only 12 points. And your intelligence, the weakest, is only 1 point. Ye Qing calculates aloud. If we consider 1 point to be the strength of an ordinary person, then a warrior with a strength of 12 points would have approximately 12 times the strength of an ordinary person. Someone with a strength of 100 would have approximately 100 times the strength of an ordinary person." As the squad continues their journey, Ye Qing's luck attribute comes into play as he activates a hidden key, opening a secret door. Startled, the rude member of the Job Changers team exclaims, "What's going on? Was there an earthquake just now?" With a nonchalant smile, Ye Qing responds as he pushes the secret door back into place. The structure of this dungeon seems a bit unstable. Suddenly, a shout rings out, "I found a chest." At that moment, Ye Qing breathes a sigh of relief. As they gather around the treasure box, the rude team member remarks, "Ah, that's a bit tricky. It seems like we don't have a thief in our team. This chest is at least A grade." Ye Qing raises his hand confidently, "I can give it a try." The team members exchange skeptical glances as Ye Qing attempts to open the chest. However, when the lock yields to his skillful manipulation, astonishment fills their eyes. Approaching him, the rude guy questions, "The lockpicking ability should be learned after a thief reaches level 5, right?" Unfazed, Ye Qing calmly replies, "Even at level 1, a vagrant can learn many useful skills. Picking up trash often involves encountering unopened chests and such, right?" The rude guy inspects the items in the chest and decides to assign them after the raid, urging the team to move forward. But Ye Qing pauses, picking up a stone from the ground and sensing danger ahead. "Please hold on a moment," he says to the mage lady. With a swift motion, he tosses the stone against the wall, triggering a hidden trap. Impressed but suspicious, the mage lady questions, "Are you really only level 1? Ye Qing shrugs, "Don't mind it. It's just that I accidentally bumped into something I'm good at. I often trigger traps when picking up trash. I've suffered a lot in this regard, so I naturally awakened the ability to detect traps. There's nothing strange about it, right?" Even Lu Xingran regards him with suspicion. However, she maintains her silence, her eyes silently probing. Our protagonist, unfazed, begins to elucidate, assuring the team that his actions are normals. And just as he succeeds in convincing them, a notification materializes. System. Deception check, great success, the target becomes more easily persuaded. Observing this, Ye Qing mumbles, Is this the power of 100 intelligence points?" The rude guy, acknowledging Ye Qing's efforts, hands him an item. A worn-out one-handed hammer suitable for a level 1 commoner. "Here's a reward for you," he states bluntly. "Accept it with gratitude." As Ye Qing holds the card containing the item, a hint of disappointment crosses his face. It seems that my reputation in their hearts is still not very good, he mutters quietly. After half an hour of walking, they finally reach their final destination. Someone remarks with skepticism. What's this? The ultimate treasure of the level? Getting here was too easy. This abyss might be a reward room without monsters. Inside, they find a stone tablet and a cup containing blood. The huge guy picks up the stone tablet, examining it closely. Could it be that this block should contain all the stuff in this abyss? He wonders aloud. At that moment, Lu Xingran steps forward, her voice commanding attention. Don't get too excited yet, she warns. Pay attention to the direction from which monsters might spawn. The huge guy, caught up in the excitement of their find, suggests, since we've got the ultimate treasure, we can prepare to leave now. Suddenly, a notification materializes, declaring, the test of blood begins now. Following this ominous message, the blood within the stone cup surges upward, enveloping them in a crimson mist. Someone among them cries out, "Fool! This isn't a reward room at all. It's a trap." As the blood morphs into grotesque monsters and hurtles towards them, another voice identifies the threat. It's the Scarlet Blood Nightmare. Lu Xingran, ever composed, swiftly withdraws a blade from her inventory and commands her team, "Get ready for battle." Surrounded by the encroaching monsters, our protagonist retrieves a sword from his inventory and wearing a ring, muttering, "In order to prevent my attributes from being exposed, it's better to fight at about 25% of my strength this time." He recalls how he acquired the ring card, which reduces all attributes of the wearer to the specified percentage. A smile tugs at the corners of Ye Qing's lips. "It's true that even the trashiest thing can come in handy someday," he remarks. As the monsters launch their attack, our protagonist executes the soul dash technique, evading their relentless assault with remarkable speed. With a swift strike of his sword, he dispatches one of the creatures effortlessly. Observing our protagonist's swift victory, Lu Xingran maintains her calm demeanor and remarks, "Interesting." With a graceful swing of her blade, she effortlessly shatters the monster into countless pieces. In the heat of battle, the huge warrior clashes with the monstrous creature, his axe cutting through the air with precision and strength. With each blow, he fights valiantly. What is this ghostly thing? The huge guy bellows in astonishment as his axe connects, causing the creature to shatter into pieces with a single powerful strike. Yet, his victory is short-lived as he watches in disbelief as the fragments reform before his very eyes, its form shifting and changing with eerie fluidity. Then, with a deep sense of shock etched upon his face, the warrior realizes the true extent of the danger they face. "This ghostly thing has taken on our appearance," he mutters, his resolve unwavering despite the unsettling revelation. Without hesitation, he swings his sword once more, aiming to sever the head of the creature and put an end to its malevolent presence. With a swift and decisive strike, he succeeds, the monster's head tumbling to the ground. Behind him, the mage woman watches with a mixture of awe and admiration. "Well done," she says, her voice filled with pride as she witnesses the warrior's bravery in action. But their victory is short-lived as the monster, undeterred by its decapitation, rises from the ground once more. With a swift motion, it swings its red sword, slicing through the warrior's body with deadly precision. The huge guy cries out in pain as his arm is severed. As the mage witnesses the monster's head reforming, a sense of dread washes over her. "Beheading doesn't work either," she murmurs, her voice tinged with disbelief. "This guy can't be killed?" At that moment, the monstrous creature raises its sword high, poised to deliver a fatal blow to the injured warrior lying defenseless on the ground. But just as all hope seems lost, a figure emerges from the shadows. Lu Xingran, with her mastery over ice magic, freezes the monster in its tracks, halting its deadly advance. Standing atop the frozen creature, she gazes down with a grave expression, her voice filled with determination. "You guys are just too useless," she declares, her words cutting through the tension like ice. With a swift motion, she shatters the monster into a million pieces. "You are just mere nightmares, yet you can make such a mess. Indeed, trash is just trash." But their moment of victory is short-lived as another group of monsters surges forth, their relentless advance threatening to overwhelm the Job Changer team. Panic grips the mage girl as she realizes the dire situation they are in. They are too fast. There's no time to chant the magic spell. She cries out, her voice tinged with desperation. Stepping forward with a sense of purpose, the protagonist takes charge, his confidence unwavering in the face of danger. Since swords are ineffective against them, he declares, his voice steady and sure, it's better to evaporate them right where they stand. With a swift incantation, he channels his magic, invoking the powerful spell known as Grand Flame Burst. A torrent of scorching flames erupts from his outstretched hands, engulfing the oncoming horde in a blaze of destruction. Witnessing the devastation wrought by the protagonist's spell, the mage girl can only stare in shock, her eyes wide with disbelief. Grand Flame Burst, Van S rank molding magic spell, instant cast, she exclaims. Beside her, the warrior guy shares in her astonishment, his face a mask of disbelief. Could it be a bug? How could a level 1 player achieve such a feat? He wonders aloud. Following that, another group of monsters materializes from the darkness, their menacing forms closing in on our protagonist with predatory intent. In a swift display of skill, Ye Qing unleashes his shock wave ability, freezing the monsters in their place. With a focused mind and unwavering determination, he calls upon the berserk skill, feeling a surge of energy coursing through his veins. His muscles bulge with newfound strength, his senses sharpening as he prepares to face the enemy head-on. With a confident gleam in his eye, he charges towards the monsters, fists clenched and ready to strike. Each blow lands with devastating force, sending the monsters flying in all directions. But to his dismay, the creatures begin to regenerate, their bodies fusing together to form a monstrous abomination. Shock and disbelief wash over Ye Qing and the mage girl by his side as they witness the horrifying transformation. But amidst the chaos, a voice rings out, a voice filled with both awe and fear. King level. Someone exclaims, the words echoing through the battlefield. How could a B-rank abyss have a king-level monster? Ye Qing remains composed, his gaze steady as he analyzes the situation. He understands the nature of this adversary, the way it absorbs strength from its opponents to evolve into something more powerful. As the king-level blood nightmare launches its attack, its massive claws slicing through the air, Ye Qing's instincts kick in. With lightning-fast reflexes, he dodges the onslaught, narrowly avoiding certain death. But as he evades the creature's wrath, a troubling thought creeps into his mind. Are its attributes comparable to his own? Can he rely solely on his strength to overcome this formidable foe? But before he can formulate a plan of action, Lu Xingran steps forward, her expression resolute and determined. Back off, small fry. She says to our protagonist, her tone firm yet reassuring. Such a powerful opponent should be left to me to deal with. With a flash of determination in her eyes, Lu Xingran charges towards the monstrous creature, her blade gleaming in the dim light of the battlefield. The monster, sensing her approach, launches a devastating attack, its massive fist hurtling towards her with deadly force. Swift as the wind, Lu Xingran evades the incoming blow, narrowly escaping the crushing force of the monster's strike. Seizing the opportunity, she uses the creature's own arm as a makeshift bridge, running along its length towards its huge head. As she closes in on her target, Lu Xingran channels her energy into her blade, gathering the icy essence of her magic. With a swift motion, she aims to freeze the monster's head, hoping to immobilize the creature and turn the tide of battle in their favor. But the monster is quick to react, extending its tentacles with lightning speed to defend against her attack. Undeterred by the creature's defense, Lu Xingran presses on, determined to find a weakness in its formidable defenses. Yet, before she can strike again, the monster lashes out with its powerful right arm, aiming to catch her off guard while she is mid-air. With a furrowed brow and a worried expression, Lu Xingran finds herself struggling to evade the incoming blow. Desperate to avoid a fatal strike, she calls upon her ice magic once more, summoning a pillar of ice from the ground to alter the trajectory of the monster's attack. As the ice pillar rises to meet the creature's arm, the force of the collision sends shockwaves rippling through the battlefield. Lu Xingran lands gracefully on the ground, her heart pounding with exertion as she wipes the sweat from her brow. But despite her valiant efforts, a sense of frustration begins to gnaw at her resolve. It's not working. She mutters to herself, her voice tinged with disappointment. I'm still too weak. At that time, Lu Xingran's mind drifts to the past as her subordinates caution her about the unstable energy levels. Miss, we detected that the energy level of this abyss is very unstable. Are you sure you want to go in alone? They warn, concern etched on their faces. Clad in bruises earned from countless battles, Lu Xingran whispers to herself, her determination unwavering. My goal is to ultimately break through that place, the highest level of the Dark Tower of the Abyss. And my current rate of growth still lags far behind my brothers and sisters. No, to be precise, I've been left even further behind. She acknowledges with a sense of urgency. Returning to the present, she gathers the cold energy on her blade, a fierce determination burning within her. If I can't easily crush even this kind of abyss, then I'm not worthy of inheriting the family name Lu. She declares, her voice resonating with resolve. Just then, the monstrous creature launches its attack towards Lu Xingran, but she swiftly erects a barrier of energy around her, deflecting the assault. With a swift motion, she summons a frost banner, its chilling aura inspiring her allies with increased speed as it penetrates the ground. In that critical moment, the frost banner emits a surge of cold energy, instantly freezing the monster in its tracks. Without hesitation, Lu Xingran rushes towards the immobilized creature, muttering to herself. The frost domain specifically counters water-based creatures. Even if I can't kill this thing, completely freezing it will neutralize the threat. With a graceful leap into the air, Lu Xingran executes her Comet Strike skill, cleaving the monster into two halves with precision and skill. Meanwhile, Ye Qing watches the battle unfold from a distance, a smile playing on his lips. This is the legendary S-rank divine selection profession. I'm actually looking forward to it. He muses, intrigued by Lu Xingran's prowess. As the echoes of battle fade, the protagonist ponders aloud. Who do you think is stronger, the king-level blood nightmare or the divine selection knight, Lu Xingran? Meanwhile, Lu Xingran's anxiety mounts as her attacks seem to have little effect on the monstrous creature. Its shattered body begins to reform, and with a menacing glint in its eyes, it lashes out with its tentacles towards Lu Xingran. Reacting swiftly, Lu Xingran executes a side flip, narrowly dodging the incoming assault. Although it's S-rank, its strength is nowhere near that of my brothers and sisters. She mutters to herself, her frustration evident. In a critical moment, memories of past ridicule flood Lu Xingran's mind. She recalls the hurtful words of those who mocked and belittled her, branding her as the shame of the Lu family. No one wants to live like trash. Stay at home quietly, little sister. The abyss is very dangerous. Their voices echo in her thoughts. However, with unwavering determination, Lu Xingran propels herself into the air, aiming to strike the monster's head. I'm going to get stronger, even if it means starting from the beginner's abyss. As long as I keep challenging higher difficulties, someday I will surpass them too, she declares, her resolve unyielding. But to her dismay, her blade shatters upon impact, leaving her vulnerable. The monster seizes the opportunity and launches another ferocious attack, slamming Lu Xingran against the wall, causing her to cough up blood. Witnessing Lu Xingran's defeat, panic begins to grip the mage girl behind our protagonist. Even Lu Xingran was defeated. The S-rank hunter was also defeated. Let's run away quickly, she exclaims, fear tainting her voice. Without hesitation, our protagonist springs into action, unleashing his fire magic with precision. With a swift motion, he cuts off the monster's arm, causing the severed limb to crash to the ground perilously close to the job changer team. Lu Xingran breaks free from the monster's grasp, her astonishment palpable as she witnesses Ye Qing's incredible power unfold before her eyes. Meanwhile, our protagonist charges headlong towards the monstrous adversary, his eyes ablaze with determination as he focuses his unique eye skill to detect the creature's vulnerabilities. As he channels his fire magic into his arm, our protagonist reflects on the inherent challenges posed by facing a monster of the king level. The monster, once it reaches the king level, will inherently possess resistance against abnormal status effects. If the level is high enough, it can even achieve complete immunity to freezing, stunning, paralysis, and slowing effects. Some weaknesses may no longer be weaknesses due to leveling up, he murmurs to himself. With flames swirling around his hand, he delivers a powerful strike against the monster, unleashing a massive explosion. Yet, to his dismay, the attack proves futile as the monster remains unfazed. Seizing the opportunity, the monster retaliates, aiming a devastating blow at our protagonist. However, with lightning-fast reflexes, Ye Qing evades the attack with astonishing speed, swiftly maneuvering away from harm's reach. Executing a graceful backflip, Ye Qing positions himself behind the monster, his resolve unshaken. As long as we can find the weakness of the blood nightmare at the king level, our goal will be achieved, he declares. With unwavering resolve, Ye Qing launches a relentless assault against the monster, pouring all his strength into each strike. But as his attacks seem to have little effect, doubt begins to creep into his mind. No matter which part is destroyed, it will regenerate, and there are no weaknesses observed throughout the body. This guy is like controlled remotely by something. He laments, frustration gnawing at his resolve. Suddenly, a revelation strikes Ye Qing, igniting a spark of hope amidst the chaos. Hey! That cube! When I removed the cube, a blood test appeared, indicating that this thing has some connection with the nightmare of blood. Kick it over here, he commands, his voice cutting through the din of battle. Responding to his directive, the mage girl points towards a nearby stone tablet, indicating its significance. Without hesitation, the big member of the team delivers a powerful kick, sending the cube hurtling towards our protagonist with a resounding thud. At that moment, our protagonist's sharp senses lock onto the glyph cube hurtling through the air. With lightning reflexes, he activates his eye ability, scanning the ancient text etched upon its surface. 2 notifications materialize before him, signaling a successful intelligence check and revealing the incantations necessary to lift the curse of blood. Reading the ancient incantations, Ye Qing's mind races with realization. The solution was right in front of us. If only I had used the observation eye from the beginning, he mutters to himself, a tinge of regret coloring his words. But before he can act, the monster seizes the cube and swallows it whole. In an instant, a notification blinks into existence, announcing the activation of the monster's invincibility mode. Confusion grips the Job Changer team as they watch the monster's sudden stillness. Why isn't he moving? He is so afraid. They exclaim, their voices tinged with uncertainty. With a worried expression, our protagonist grimaces. It entered invincible mode, darn it. He curses under his breath, his mind racing for a solution. Amidst the chaos, Lu Xingran's voice cuts through the tension. Where have I seen you before? When you came in, I felt like I knew you. She muses aloud. Surprised by her recognition, our protagonist responds. So you didn't recognize me all along. I met you 2 years ago in the abyss. And I was the scavenger who leached your experience points, which happened to be the first experience point I gained in my life. He reveals. Lu Xingran's shock is palpable. You're the guy who managed to scavenge 0.5 magical beasts. Ah, I remember now, your name is Ye Qing. She exclaims, her memory flooding back. Angrily, our protagonist corrects her. It's Ye Qing. He retorts, his pride wounded by the mispronunciation of his name. As the realization sinks in, Lu Xingran regards him with newfound respect. I didn't expect you really succeeded in changing jobs. She admits, a hint of admiration in her voice. Proudly, our protagonist straightens his stance. Yes, right now, I'm a level 1 scavenger. He declares. Watching Lu Xingran's strange gaze, our protagonist can't help but wonder. Why are you still staring at me like this? He wonders silently, his thoughts swirling with a mixture of emotions. With determination etched upon her face, Lu Xingran plunges her blade into the ground, her voice ringing out with resolve. The cube will roam within the nightmare of blood. My frost domain can momentarily freeze it for a moment. Ye Qing, you can find the location of the cube during this short time. She declares. A smile graces our protagonist's face as he acknowledges her words. Indeed, no matter who you are, there will always be a time when one cannot handle everything solo. He remarks, his voice brimming with confidence. Clenching his fist, he extends his hand towards Lu Xingran. Consider yourself getting a 0.5 reward. Let's work together to defeat this guy. He adds, determination burning in his eyes. Returning his smile, Lu Xingran clenches her fist in response, ready to join forces with our protagonist. Hee hee. Don't hold me back, she exclaims, her smile widening as she prepares to perform a fist bump with our protagonist. But before they can solidify their pact, the mage girl interjects, her voice filled with determination. Wait, we're joining the fight too, she declares. Beside her, the huge guy nods in agreement. Yes, even though I might not be much help, I still want to do my best in the fight, he states, his voice resolute. Our protagonist nods in agreement. Alright, let's go together. We must make it out alive, he declares, his voice filled with conviction.